Close your eyes for a moment. Think of a world covered in darkness. A world where the weak had no voice. Where cruelty was common and kindness was rare. Now imagine one single light. A light so strong, so pure, and so warm that it still shines today. That light was a man. His name was Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Can an orphan child change the world with patience, truth, and character? This is his story. Not just a story of history. This is a story of the heart. It was the year 570 CE. In the city of Mecca in the land of Arabia, a child was born. His name was Muhammad, the son of Abdullah and Amina. Even before his birth, his father Abdullah had passed away. He came into this world already without a father. The desert was hard and life was harsh. But there was something different about this child. Those who were near him felt a calm they could not explain. His wet nurse, Halima, later said that blessings followed him. Even the land around her family felt more peaceful when he was near. But sadness came early. When Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was only 6 years old, his mother Amina also passed away. A small child, now without both his father and his mother. He was taken in by his grandfather, Abdul Muttalib. But 2 years later, his grandfather too passed away. He was 8 years old, alone, an orphan. His uncle, Abu Talib, took him into his home. Life was simple, sometimes difficult. Prophet Muhammad worked as a shepherd. He watched over sheep in the quiet hills outside Mecca, alone with the open sky and the wind. In those quiet hours, he was learning something no school could teach. He was learning patience. He was learning to observe, to think, and to care. As he grew, something remarkable happened. The people of Mecca began to notice him. Not because of his wealth, not because of his family name, but because of his character. He never lied. He never cheated anyone. He kept every promise he made. He was gentle with those who were weak. He was honest in every word. The people gave him a title. They called him Al-Amin. It means the trustworthy one. Even people who disagreed with him later would not deny this. They trusted him with their most valuable things. They asked him to solve their disputes. An orphan boy with no power and no money had earned the full trust of his people. He also became a merchant. A noble woman named Khadija heard about his honesty. She hired him to trade on her behalf. He returned with more than expected. She was moved not just by his success, but by his honesty about every detail. Khadija proposed marriage to him. He accepted. She was 15 years older than him, and she became the first and most beloved person in his life. She was his friend, his partner, and his greatest supporter. Years passed. Prophet Muhammad was now 40 years old. He had a habit of going to a cave called Seerah on a mountain near Mecca. He would sit there alone, in silence, thinking deeply, thinking about life, about the world, about truth. And then one night, everything changed. A presence filled the cave. The angel Gabriel, came to him. The angel said one word, Iqra. It means read. Prophet Muhammad was shaking. He ran home, trembling, and called to Khadija. He said, "Cover me, cover me." She held him close. She listened to everything he said. And then she said something that the world should never forget. She said, "By God, he will never disgrace you. You are kind to your family. You help those in need. You serve your guests. You help those struck by calamity. Her words are still remembered today because she did not doubt him. She believed in him completely. She became the very first person to accept Islam, not out of obligation, but out of love and deep faith. Prophet Muhammad began to share his message. He spoke of one God, of kindness, of justice, of equality. He told people to stop burying their daughters alive. He told them to free their slaves and treat all people with dignity. At first, some people listened. The poor, the young, the ones who had no power. They felt hope in his words. But the powerful did not like this message. His words threatened their control. They could not argue with his logic, so they chose to hurt him instead. They threw garbage on him as he walked. They placed thorns in his path. They mocked him and called him a madman. They hurt his followers. Bilal, a man who accepted Islam, was made to lie on burning hot sand with a heavy rock on his chest. His crime was that he believed. But Prophet Muhammad did not become hard. He did not become angry or cruel. He continued to speak with gentleness. He continued to care for those in pain. One of the most painful moments in his life came when he traveled to the city of Taif. His uncle Abu Talib had passed away. Khadija had also passed away. The two people who protected and loved him most were gone. He was alone in a new way. He went to Taif hoping the people there would listen to his message. They refused. They drove him out of the city. The children of Taif threw stones at him. His feet bled. He walked away from the city wounded, tired, and heartbroken. He sat under a tree. He was alone. He raised his hands toward the sky and said a prayer. He said, "O God, I complain to you of my weakness and my helplessness." He did not blame the people of Taif. He said, "If you are not angry with me, I do not care what happens to me." Can mercy win hearts even after injustice and pain? The angel Jibril came to him and said, "God has sent the angel of the mountains. If you wish, he can crush Taif between two mountains." And what did Prophet Muhammad say? He said no. He said, "Maybe from their children there will come people who worship God alone." He was bleeding. He was in pain. He had been chased and stoned, and he chose mercy. He chose hope over anger. This was who he was. The years in Mecca began harder and harder. The leaders of Mecca made a plan to kill Prophet Muhammad. One night, he left his home. He left everything behind: his city, his birthplace, his memories. He and his closest companion, Abu Bakr, began the journey to Medina. They hid in a cave called Thawr. The enemy searched everywhere. They came to the entrance of the cave. Abu Bakr was afraid and whispered, "They're right outside. There are only two of us." Prophet Muhammad said calmly, "Do not be sad. God is with us." The enemies looked into the cave and turned away. They did not enter. The two men continued their journey. This journey is called the Hijrah, the migration. It marks the beginning of a new chapter. Muslims mark their calendar from this date because it was the moment when everything began to change. When Prophet Muhammad arrived in Medina, the people came out to meet him. There was joy in the streets. Children sang. People wept with happiness. In Medina, he built something extraordinary, a community. People of different backgrounds, different tribes, different faiths, all living together with respect. He created a charter. It gave rights to Muslims, Jews, Christians, and others. It said that all people in Medina were one community, that no one should be wronged, that the weak should be protected. This was one of the first written agreements of human rights in history. He taught his followers, "The strong is not the one who can overpower others. The strong is the one who controls himself when he is angry." He said, "None of you truly believes until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself." He said, "The best of you are those who have the best character." And he did not just speak these words. He lived them. He would visit the sick. He would carry heavy things for elderly people. He would sit on the floor with the poor. He would stop in the middle of the road to listen to someone who needed help. He treated children with gentleness. He once stopped his prayer to pick up his grandchild who had climbed on his back. He was a leader, but he mended his own shoes. He patched his own clothes. He milked his own goat. He lived simply, even when he had the power to live otherwise. Years passed. Slowly, the message spread. And then came the day when Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the Muslims returned to Mecca. Not in anger, not with revenge in their hearts. With 10,000 people, they entered the city, peacefully. The people of Mecca stood waiting. These were the very people who had hurt him, who had mocked him and thrown garbage at him, who had tortured his companions, who had driven him out of his home. They waited for punishment. They expected anger. But Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, looked at them and said, "Go, you are all free." That was it. No revenge, no punishment, no anger. Just forgiveness. Some of the very people who had spent years trying to destroy him now stood with tears in their eyes, and they chose to believe, not because they were forced, but because they had never seen anything like this before. Mercy had done what no army could do. It opened hearts. What did Prophet Muhammad leave us as lessons? He taught us that every human being has dignity. He said that an Arab is no better than a non-Arab. A white person is no better than a black person. The only thing that makes one person better than another is their character and their deeds. He taught us to be kind to animals. He said that a woman entered paradise because she gave water to a thirsty dog, and that a woman went to a painful place because she kept a cat locked up without food or water. He cared about every living thing. He taught us about family. He said the best of you is the one who is best to his family, and I am the best to my family. He taught us to seek knowledge. He said, seek knowledge even if it takes you to China. And the seeking of knowledge is a duty upon every Muslim. He taught us humility. He once said, do not praise me excessively the way Christians praise Jesus. I am only a servant of God and his messenger. He was a man who cried. He cried out of fear of God. He cried when his child passed away. He said, the eyes shed tears and the heart grieves, but we only say what pleases God. He was completely human, and in his humanity, he was the most noble of all people. Near the end of his life, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, stood before nearly 100,000 people. It was his final pilgrimage. He stood on the plains of Arafat. The sky was open above him. The crowd stretched as far as the eye could see. He gave his final sermon. His voice rang out, "O people, listen to me carefully. Your lives, your wealth, and your honor are sacred. Treat women with kindness. You are all equal. No one is better than another except by piety. Have I delivered the message?" The crowd answered, "Yes." He lifted his finger to the sky and said, "O God, be my witness." That was his last pilgrimage. He knew his time was drawing close. A few months later, he fell ill. He continued to lead prayers as long as he could. When he could no longer stand, he asked Abu Bakr to lead in his place. In his final days, he lay in the room of his wife Aisha. He kept saying, the prayer, and be good to those who serve you. On a Monday morning in the month of Rabi al-Awwal, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, passed away. He was 63 years old. The companions could not believe it. Umar, one of the strongest men among them, stood up and said, "Whoever says Muhammad is dead, I will strike him with my sword." He could not accept it. Abu Bakr came in quietly. He went to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and kissed his forehead. Then he turned to the people and said, "Whoever worships Muhammad, know that Muhammad has died. But whoever worships God, know that God is alive and never dies." The city fell silent. A grief came over the hearts of all who loved him. A grief that is still felt today by millions of people who never even met him. Can one life leave a light that guides the world for 1,400 years? Today, more than 1.8 billion people follow his way. They live in every country on earth. They speak every language. They have every kind of skin. But when they pray, They all face the same direction, and when they speak his name, they say, "Peace be upon him." His words were written down and preserved. Not a single word was lost. His actions were remembered and recorded by those around him. Hundreds of thousands of narrations. What he said, what he did, how he smiled, how he walked. No human being in history has been described in such detail. He changed the way humanity thinks about women. He changed the way humanity thinks about slavery. He changed the way humanity thinks about law, justice, charity, and prayer. He gave people something that could not be taken away. He gave them purpose. He once said, "I was sent to perfect good character." That was his mission. And in his 63 years of life, he showed us what perfect character looks like. An orphan child changed the world with patience, truth, and character. Yes, mercy won hearts even after the deepest injustice and pain. Yes, one life left a light that has guided the world for over 1,400 years. And that light has not gone out. Wherever there is a person who chooses kindness over cruelty, wherever there is someone who forgives when they have every right to punish, wherever there is a heart that beats with love for truth, the light of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is still alive. Peace be upon him.